This segment of Delmarva Life is brought to you by Chesapeake Eye Center.
Well, before the break, we talked about protecting your skin from the sun, but there's another part of your body that can be just as vulnerable.
Your eyes. Believe it or not, they too can develop cancer. And joining us today to tell us more is Dr. Catherine Smoot, who's a board-certified ophthalmologist with Chesapeake Eye Center. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I got to admit, my eyes, that area, I would not think of it as being susceptible to any kind of a cancer.
Well, most people don't, but between 5 and 10% of all skin cancers can actually involve the eyelid.
Wow.
Yeah.
So who's at risk?
Everybody's at risk, but the exposure to ultraviolet is a cumulative effect. So we tend to see skin cancers when you get more towards middle age or a little older.
So you're talking about getting a little bit of sun through your lifetime.
Through your lifetime. So people that are going to be at risk are people who have had a long history on the water. For example, our watermen, tanning bed exposures, all you young people that are out there damaging those skin cells little by little, children gradually accumulate ultraviolet over the span of their lifetime, and it all adds up.
And it accumulates. It's not something that you'll get from one real heavy summer, but it's something as you get older.
It's a cumulative effect. Of course, the bad burns do put you at higher risk for skin cancers on down the road for sure. So you really want to protect your skin. Our dermatologist colleagues are always saying protect your skin, but we'd like to jump on the bus and say because 90% of the skin cancers we see are what we call basal cell skin cancer.
I was going to ask you about that. There are many different kinds. Yes. Tell us more about the basal.
Well, basal cell, like I says, 90% of the cases, and it will usually appear on the lower eyelid, usually towards the middle part of the lower eyelid, and it'll look like a firm, hard little nodule. Right. Sometimes it'll look a little translucent. It tends to have rolled edges, and on occasion it can have what's called a rodent ulcer, where it looks kind of ulcerated in the center and not very pretty. So sometimes people complain like it won't heal, or I keep seeing it bleed, or different comments, or this bump looks like it's getting a little bigger. These are all things that should be checked out.
Just want to say real quick, we've got some pictures here so that you'll understand exactly what it is Dr. Smoot's talking about. Some of these can be kind of tough to look at, but this is a really important topic for you to see what we're talking about.
Right. And another one, squamous?
Squamous is a lot less common. As I said, basal cell is 90%. About 1/40th of the amount of basal cell is squamous. Squamous cell tends to be more on the upper eyelid. It'll tend to look a lot more kind of flat, scaly, irritated, ulcerated, but it can also grow a lot. Now, basal cell, the most common, tends to be not as malignant. So a lot of times just excising it can take care of the problem. But if it's not treated, it can be very invasive and very disfiguring. Squamous, on the other hand, can be quite malignant. And even though it's a lot less common, can be a lot worse in terms of its prognosis.
Do you understand that one of these is usually predominant on the upper lid and one's
basal cell tends to be the lower lids. Squamous we tend to see a little more in the upper lid. I mean, it can be anywhere.
Right.
And a lot of times in our senior citizens, you have these kind of funny skin scaly patches. They can be called actinic keratosis. So if your doctor says it's an actinic keratosis, that can be a risk factor for development of a squamous cell or a basal cell.
And then there's sebaceous.
Sebaceous is a lot less common. That's a cancer that involves the oil glands of the eyelid. We have these oil glands that line the eyelid, and you can actually get cancer in that too. Not very common, but if you again see kind of a thickening of your eyelid region that's not healing, ulceration, loss of lashes in any of these cases can be a clue to malignancy. I'll be quite honest, in my career, I've seen things, I swear a basal cell, we biopsy them, they're not. I've seen things, I swear not skin cancer, you biopsy them and they're a basal cell or another malignancy, and you're like, you just really don't know until you honestly look at that.
So what is the best way to protect ourselves?
The best way, absolutely, sunscreen.
Right.
A nice broad-brimmed hat.
Nice hat, I like that hat.
Put your shades on.
You brought me
starting with your children. Teach them to wear those sunglasses and be protected.
I am protected.
I wanted sparkly ones like you, but I guess
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Catherine
Thank
Smoot.
you.
And for more information on what Dr. Smoot of Chesapeake Eye Center discussed today, go to delmarvalife.com and click on the show tab. So once your skins and eyes are protected, it's time to have fun in the sun. One way to do that is with a backyard bash complete with a moon bounce from setup to takedown. We'll tell you what goes into getting one of these for the kids or the adults.
And after jumping all day, you'll probably work up an appetite. The Food Network's Jim O'Connor shows us how to spice up any backyard barbecue.
Maybe you'll spend the summer in the garden. Jenny's here to help us put together the perfect flower arrangement.
And if you're in the garden, you're going to need a hose. The pocket hose seems magical. The way the commercial indicates it'll expand and contract, saving you lots of room. We're going to put it to the test.
And speaking of water, ever wonder how actors can cue the tears when it comes to serious scenes? Brian visits the set of The Young and the Restless to find out.
And there's more. We still have your chance to win $250. But first, we're talking fun in the sun. Rachel Ray has a handy how-to tip if you want to go camping.
Okay, guys, the warmer months of the year are back. So you campers out there, listen up. These are 2 terrific tips. First up, how'd you like to be able to make pancakes when you go camping? Make up your favorite pancake batter, pop it into a large plastic food storage bag, pop the bag into a freezer, secure the end with a little clothespin. When you get to the park, heat up the skillet, snip the tip off, and there you go, pancakes. Fire starters, take some wax, soak some cotton rounds, and you've got your own homemade fire starters.